Hello and welcome to Shattered Lives, a podcast for Reach Ireland, the Irish City Star and Irish Mirror. I'm Michael O'Toole and I'm joined by Paul Healy, our crime correspondent. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Mick.
So this is the third day of our coverage of the civil case involving three people, Nikita Hand, James Lawrence and Conor McGregor. As I said, it's a civil case. Nobody's facing any criminal charges and there are no criminal sanctions on this. Miss Hand is the claimant and the respondents, the people that she is suing, are Conor McGregor and James Lawrence. And we know that Miss Hand alleges she was raped in a Dublin hotel in December 2018. So, Paul, this is the third day of the case. A lot happened today. Shall we get stuck into it?
Yeah, I think we should probably start with, chronologically, which is what we've been doing on this podcast. And this morning kind of opened up with remarks by Mr. Justice Alexander Owens in relation to some of the material that was given to the jury yesterday. Firstly, there was a booklet, a rather large booklet containing the interviews, the two interviews, Garda interviews that Miss Hand had with Detective Sergeant Peter Woods and other members of Garda Síochána in 2019. They were told about that booklet and to discount that unless referred to aspects of it within court by counsel and by Miss Hand. So to not go through the booklet, and then also in relation to the DPP's decision. So if people have been listening to the podcast yesterday or following any of the coverage, there was documentation handed to the jury and read out in relation to the decision by the Director of Public Prosecutions not to take a criminal case against Conor McGregor and James Lawrence. So people have been asking about this in terms of why was there no Garda investigation or DPP or court case. There was a Garda investigation. The DPP ultimately decided not to charge Conor McGregor or James Lawrence with any criminal offence, and the court heard yesterday because there was insufficient evidence to secure a conviction. This is the DPP's decision, beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, and so we opened today. The judge made some comments about that.
Yes, so Mr. Justice Owens said in relation to the DPP's decision, he told them to forget it. It has nothing to do with this trial, he says, and it should not influence their decision within this. It is not evidence in relation to the reliability or unreliability of the plaintiff or anything like that. And it really, he said, was not necessary for any of that to have been read out to the jury in the first place.
And, we keep repeating this. We repeat it at the start of every pod. This is a civil matter. It's not criminal. So the judge is basically saying that in a much more intelligent way than you and I could.
Yeah, I mean, he described it as clutter, and he said there was a whole lot of quote unquote unnecessary documentation that he said could mislead the jury. And he pointed to the jury that they should just listen to what is said before the court and not refer to this documentation unless otherwise directed.
Okay, so with that, those comments from the judge, I think Miss Hand, who was on the stand on day one and day two being cross-examined, she continued being cross-examined. I think it was by Remy Farrell, senior counsel, was it?
Yeah, so Remy Farrell, senior counsel, he is acting for Mr. Conor McGregor, one of the first respondent in this case. Mr. Farrell was cross-examining the witness, the complainant, yesterday and returned today to where we left off. So he was asking her about her claim that she got into the bathtub of the Beacon Hotel penthouse suite. She had told the court about this, that when they were messing around in the bedroom, and that she jokingly got into the bathtub fully clothed. Photographs were handed out to the jury of these were Garda photographs of the room and including the photograph of this bathtub, which was described as slightly fancy with chrome taps by Mr. Farrell. Mr. Farrell asked the witness, was this what made her think that she was in the Morgan Hotel in Temple Bar as opposed to the Beacon Hotel in Sandyford, where the incident actually occurred? To remind people, Miss Hand had told Gardaí and a number of people immediately after the alleged assault that she believed that she had been allegedly raped in the Morgan Hotel. Go ahead.
So sorry. So after that, I think it was there more. Well, there were questions about it, but there were. Well, I don't know. Was there more CCTV shown to the jury of 8 women and 4 men, or was it just questions about the CCTV?
Questions about the CCTV, and then ultimately some of it was shown again. So this quite a lot today was of the cross-examination today was about the CCTV footage, Miss Hand's recollection or lack thereof of what occurred in the CCTV and what Mr. Farrell said the CCTV proves or disproves. Miss Hand said that she could see from the footage that was shown in court yesterday that she was a very drunk woman. So she said that in relation to that, the footage showed her going in and out of the Beacon Hotel. And Mr. Farrell had put it to her that the footage itself shows that there are signs that say the Beacon Hotel in large letters in the CCTV footage where she is seen going in and out. Miss Hand had said that she couldn't remember any of that whatsoever. He also, Mr. Farrell, pointed to the interior of the room and the fact that there was a big window, and a photograph was shown to the jury of this window. She was asked, does she ever remember looking out of this window? And she said no, that she didn't. Mr. Farrell was pointing out that if you look out that window, that you can see the foothills of the Dublin Mountains, and that if you were in the Morgan Hotel, if you were in a hotel in the city centre, you would see the city centre itself. And so he was asking her, does she ever recall seeing outside to know where exactly she was? She said she did not recall that. She was also asked about the curtains and whether the curtains were open or closed. She couldn't recall whether the curtains were open or closed. In relation to that, then he also asked her about, her evidence where she said that she thought she was in the Morgan Hotel in Fleet Street, which is in Temple Bar. And he suggested to her, sorry, this is about I'm going through my notes here. Yeah, I've gone through that in detail in relation to the window.
So the next thing is, I believe that Mr. Farrell asked her about being in Mr. McGregor's car, which had blacked out tinted windows.
Yeah, so again, he's pointing to, whether she knew where she was at any given moment, and had he pointed out that her evidence was that this car that she was picked up in by Mr. McGregor had blacked out tinted windows. She said they were tinted windows, and he asked her, could she see through them? She said, I wasn't looking around to see where I was. She stated that she wasn't looking to where she was, but it was pointed out that her evidence yesterday to the court that she was curious to know where she was, and Mr. Farrell said now she's saying today that she wasn't. He also said he pointed out to her text messages where she said that she sent a text claiming that McGregor had sexually assaulted her. So Miss Hand, look, she says she cannot remember absolutely everything. And so Mr. Farrell went on to the evidence that Miss Hand had given to the court about text messages that she sent. And he pointed out that they were not truthful because she had sent a text saying that she was having a good time to her boyfriend, and that this was at a point where she is actually saying that Conor McGregor had sexually assaulted her. She was also asked about when she went home to her partner Stephen and told him about what happened. She said it wasn't so much that she immediately told him what happened. He could see the state that she was in. He knew by me that I wasn't right. She was asked by Mr. Farrell, does she remember telling Steve who she was with? She doesn't remember absolutely everything she said. And she was then told that there is a recording of this conversation. So we were told in relation to this recording that her partner, her former partner, Stephen, recorded without her knowledge this conversation that she had with him when she returned in the early hours of the morning of December 10th and told him that she had been raped. She only learned subsequently in the weeks after, she said, that her partner at the time had recorded this conversation. And she ultimately heard it, she said, when it was emailed to her. She heard it 2 years ago and she has not heard it since. We're going to come back to this because this particular recording, all 38 minutes of it, was played before the jury, and we got an insight into that conversation. She said it was a very hard listen for her at the time. It's not an easy listen, and she hasn't been able to listen to it since.
And I understand that Mr. Farrell also asked Miss Hand if she can remember telling Stephen that she was in the Morgan.
Yeah, she said that she basically had a poor recollection of this, but she did lie about who she was with. So she had told him information about who she was with, and she accepted that she had lied about that.
Okay, so just moving on, another question from Mr. Farrell. Obviously, we know that Miss Hand says she was in the hotel with a friend called Danielle, and he asks Miss Hand where Danielle was when this alleged sexual assault happened.
Yeah, so she had stated that Danielle was in the other room, in the sitting room of the penthouse. So the description of the room was that there was a sitting room, a door separating between the bedroom where she says the alleged rape had happened. She said she didn't remember at that stage so this is in relation to the Garda interview. So it was pointed out to her by Mr. Farrell that she told Gardaí that she didn't do anything to tip off Danielle or say that something had happened at that stage. And that's because she said when she woke up, she did not immediately remember what had happened when she woke up next to Conor McGregor. So she says that she remembers panicking and going to her phone. We heard a bit about this already, that she had fallen asleep, and then when she woke up, she was in a panic. She said this was strange for her, and she didn't understand it at first. She was confused. Mr. Farrell's put it to her that confusion lasted some time. She said yes, and in terms of her recollection, remembered next going down in the lift and going back up, and that is all she could remember. So Mr. Farrell pointed out that the CCTV footage she could be seen for some time going in and out of that lift for an extended period of time. And a lot of interaction had happened in this case. He said that in this footage, you could see Miss Hand appearing to kiss Conor McGregor's arm. She said that she doesn't remember that. She described herself as a very vulnerable woman in this. And she said that in the footage that she saw, and she said, I should have been brought home. I should have been looked after in that state. She was asked by Mr. Farrell, did she check at the time after this with Danielle about the events that had happened? She said, I did speak to her. Yeah, I can't remember what date it was. I would have seen her as well. She was a work colleague. So she says in relation to because she was asked about when did she remember she was raped, and she said that it was when she went back up to the hotel room, things were slowly coming back to her. Mr. Farrell said he was at a loss to understand when she exactly told Danielle about what had happened. And she did say that there were text messages between her and Danielle sent from the sexual assault trauma unit. And she also acknowledged that she did tell Danielle, as she told others, to delete her text messages.
And I think her rationale or her evidence there was that she did that because she said she was in fear she was afraid for her life.
Yeah, she said she also didn't want to press charges at that particular moment in time. And there were multiple people that she, including herself, deleted text messages. We also later heard that she deleted her Instagram not long after the event.
And
go ahead.
No, no. Well, I was just going to say that I think Mr. Farrell then puts it to Miss Hand that in her evidence she did tell a friend called Emer what had happened or what had allegedly happened.
So yeah, so the next sequence of events is when Miss Hand left the Beacon Hotel just at around 10:30 at night. She is seen on the CCTV getting into a taxi. Her own evidence is that she remembers waking up in a taxi and that she texted her friend Emer and she was going to give her back the salon keys. She went to her friend Emer's house. So she's asked about her recollection of what she told Emer, and she said, word for word, I cannot tell you what I told her that night. I was in an awful state. So Mr. Farrell challenged her on this in relation to what she had told Emer at the time, because he said that it contradicts, it differs with what Gardaí, the interaction Gardaí had with Emer Brennan. He asked her, is it because so he suggested to her that she had said something different to Emer Brennan, and asked her, does she recollect telling her that she ran out of the bedroom because she thought she was about to be gang raped, that a number of security men had come into the bedroom and she ran out because she thought she was going to be gang raped. She said she did not remember telling Miss Brennan that. And she also could not remember allegedly telling Miss Brennan that she ran off because she thought she was about to be raped by a security guard. She said, I was in and out of remembering things. I was obviously very confused at that point. She said, look, I was just after being brutally raped, and that things were slowly coming back to her. And whatever she told her, she was very confused. But the main point she said was, I did tell her that I was raped and that I was battered. And Mr. Farrell said, and you did tell her that it was Conor McGregor? And she said that she did say at the time, so this is on the night of, that she told her that she was raped by Conor McGregor.
So,
And we were told that we will hear from Emer Brennan, but she has not given evidence yet.
okay, and then Mr. Farrell questions her about texts about a text from a text to her boyfriend Stephen. Sorry, a text from her boyfriend Stephen, and she did not reply to him for some time.
For some time.
Yes.
Yeah, again, Miss Hand had difficulty remembering exact times, and she said that she did see on the CCTV that she leaves the Beacon at 10:28. She texted Steve around this time and stated that she was coming home from town. Mr. Farrell asked her why. At this stage, she didn't want to tell him where she was, and she said to the court, "It's not a crime to tell your boyfriend a lie." Miss Hand said she knew she was in a hotel, but she didn't know what hotel she was in. And Mr. Farrell responded by saying, that cannot be your evidence. He pointed out to her that she had told Gardaí in her interview that she knew what hotel she was in, and she had told them that it was the Morgan Hotel because she remembered because of the bath. Mr. Farrell said, based off what she said in her text to Steve, at that stage you knew you hadn't been in town, so your entire account is on the basis that you thought you were in the Beacon, and not that you were in the Morgan Hotel in town. He says that she seems to accept that she knew she wasn't in town. So if her evidence is correct, then what she said to Steve wasn't a lie at all. You're now telling us you don't remember why you told a lie, he said to her. And she said that she just didn't want to face the reality, and she didn't want to go home at that point in time when she texted her partner Stephen. And we know she went to Emer Brennan's house before she ultimately went home to Stephen.
Okay, so she's next asked about, she had an Instagram account, but she deleted it after this alleged incident. I think she gave an explanation as to why she did that.
Yeah, she said everyone was talking about it. It was in the newspapers, and she didn't want anybody to see her social media. And Mr. Farrell put it to her that she would have known that material on her Instagram was relevant to the investigation. She was pressed on this, and she acknowledged that she blocked Conor McGregor and that she deleted her Instagram page. So she wasn't sure when she had deleted it, but she acknowledged that in actual fact she deleted it the day after the alleged events occurred. She also alleged that she was told by a Garda from Crumlin Garda Station to delete her Instagram. And she also said that she didn't want people to have photographs of her, that she'd was going through enough with the papers going through the details of what allegedly had happened.
Okay, so the next piece of evidence, I believe, is about she made a phone call to Conor McGregor.
Yeah, so this was new information that we heard in the court that allegedly she made a phone call to Conor McGregor after the alleged rape occurred. She'd sent several text messages to a number of people, and Mr. Farrell pointed out that there was a phone call lasting over a minute at around, what time is it? Just before 6:30 in the evening, where she had a phone call by a man who, at that point, she said had raped her by then. She said that she couldn't remember that phone call. She said, "I don't know why I rang him. I can't remember any of that."
So this is
Then
this is in the evening. Sorry, at about, as you say, 6:30 in the evening.
Yeah, so just to explain to people, because it's getting a bit complicated here, the timeline of events is around 10:30. They got picked up around 12:30. They went into the hotel, and between that period of after 12:30 right up until 6:30, we is sometime in that time gap the alleged events happened, and then around 6:30 Mr. McGregor and Danielle are seen leaving in the car park on CCTV, and Mr. Lawrence then and Miss Hand are seen going in and out of the elevator, and she ultimately leaves the hotel at around 10:30 that evening. So that is the timeline of the events. And then she went to Emer Brennan, and then sometime around 2 in the morning returned home to her partner Stephen. That's the whole chronological.
Okay, and the next evidence would be, I think it's more, is it CCTV footage or questioning about CCTV footage?
Yeah, so counsel for Conor McGregor, Mr. Farrell, said that he was putting it to the witness that actually everything in the CCTV contradicts her story, and he pointed out that in this footage, she is seen allegedly hugging Conor McGregor at one point and kissing Mr. Lawrence. I'll come back to that, but Miss Hand responded to this saying, "I know what happened to me. I was brutally raped and battered, and that CCTV does not take away what happened to me in that room." So she's pointing out that despite the fact that we've seen CCTV and whatever happened in it, that what she says happened up in the bedroom happened, and she maintains that.
Okay. So is she next asked about deleting messages and asking friends to delete messages?
Yeah, I kind of covered that she had said that she deleted a number of messages, and she acknowledged that she also asked a number of friends, including Emer Brennan and Jennifer, to delete certain text messages. There was, in relation to the CCTV, I have to be careful not to interpret too much, but I think we can say at this point that the witness was quite upset about being questioned about the CCTV footage, and she asked for a break, and she did ultimately avail of that break, and the jury were sent out, and Mr. Farrell, when we came back, acknowledged that the witness had become distressed about the CCTV footage, and in particular was concerned about it being played in court again, and that she would have to watch that particular footage again. So we went through, after that particular break, questions about that CCTV footage, and Mr. Farrell said he was putting it to the witness that what happens in this footage, he thinks, he is suggesting that she was interested in a quote-unquote romantic entanglement. He says that her evidence is contradicted by the CCTV, that she is seen kissing Mr. Lawrence, and she actually acknowledged that it looks that way, but she still feels that she's not wrong because she doesn't remember any of that. Also, the hugging of Conor McGregor was pointed out. Also, in relation to the amount of time that she spent going up and down in the lift, Mr. Justice Owens actually intervened and said that she can be seen pressing a whole pile of buttons on the lift. Does she remember any of that? She said she doesn't remember any of that.
And this was interesting. She was asked by Mr. Farrell if she remembers hugging Mr. McGregor.
Again, I mean, she saw the footage and she could see that she appears to put her arm around Mr. McGregor in the footage that was shown in the court, but she again said she could not recall this. She says, I don't remember absolutely every single detail to this day. And Mr. Farrell also suggested that what can be seen in text messages that Miss Hand, she had the wherewithal around that time to send untrue text messages to her partner Stephen. So he was pointing out that she even though she was in a particular state, and she says that she was very drunk at this period of time, as shown in the CCTV, he was saying she had the wherewithal to send, nonetheless, a number of text messages, including quote unquote untrue text messages to her partner. And he put it to her that she had the mental faculties at the time to tell a lie. Miss Hand says she just can't remember that. Mr. Farrell said presumably by that time, when she said a violent rape had occurred, sometime between the hours of 12:34 and 12 minutes past 6, she was basically asked, at what point could you remember at what point this happened? She says she doesn't remember, and that in relation to her memory of time, she had a difficulty with times. So she was asked, again, challenged on when she immediately woke up and the fact that she wanted to continue to party, and she was confused by the fact that people wanted to leave. She was being asked on her memory of when exactly she remembered that she was raped, as she had claimed. She said, I forgot I was after being raped when I woke up. She said, I was drinking a lot and I had drugs in my system as well when it came to the claims of her behavior in the lift.
So I think that was the last piece of evidence before the lunch break.
Well, it's the last piece of evidence I heard because I was sitting in the overflow court, but basically it continued on, and I understand that basically in relation to, because I'm going to come to it, there were claims about a text message that Miss Hand had sent at around 6:30 in the evening to her partner Steve, where she'd said something to the effect of "ha ha" in the goat. So she told him she was still in the goat grill out in Goatstown, and she had said that she was at this point in time trying to reassure him that everything was okay, and she didn't want to tell him that she had been violently raped at that point in time. She had told the court, and her evidence was that she had reached into her bag after waking up next to Conor McGregor, and that she had texted her partner. What we heard today is, and now she accepts, based on the CCTV evidence and the time in which the text was sent to Steve, that she actually sent this text message from inside the underground car park. She had no recollection of this, but she accepts, based on the footage and the time the text was sent, that she obviously was very confused, and that she actually had sent that text message from inside the underground car park. This is again also around the time that she allegedly had an over 1 minute phone call with Conor McGregor, who she said had raped her by this point and who had just left in a car with Danielle. Okay. Then we had a lunch break.
Okay, so what happened? What was the first piece of evidence after lunch then?
Yeah, so we get back into that text message, and she said it showed obviously how drunk and confused she was. She said, obviously, I was confused. She had difficulty with her memory in relation to that. She didn't want to her partner Steve to panic. She wanted to let him know that she was okay. That is how she recollects it, and that she had told Gardaí that she had sent him this text sometime around 6. Proven by the CCTV that she sent these text messages around 6:30, around the time that she was captured on CCTV on her phone down in the underground car park. Mr. Farrell put it to her about the fact that the CCTV shows her going back up to the room, and he put it to her that she then, quote unquote, spontaneously suddenly remembered what had happened to her then. Miss Hand said she could remember what had happened slowly coming back to her. She remembers being given food and that James was telling her to relax, and that she told him something about him and others turning a blind eye to what Conor McGregor had done. We heard a bit about that already. She said she knew she was after being hurt and that she was raped at that point. When she was asked by Mr. Farrell, did she know then when she was up in the room that she had been raped? And she said that she did. He pointed out that in the CCTV footage around this time that Miss Hand does not appear to be upset in the footage that was shown. Again, she said she didn't remember anything from that. Okay, we then got to the taxi.
Yes, I was going to say she does recall getting into the taxi.
Yeah, she remembers being in the taxi, and she says she was asked, does she remember being the only person in the taxi? She said it was only her and the driver in the taxi. She said she gave a taxi man €50, and she told the court she assumed that James Lawrence had given her that €50 because she didn't have €50 in her bag prior to that. Mr. Farrell said he thought it was odd that she would assume that she got 50 quid from James for the taxi, and she said, well, who else could have given it to me? He also, Mr. Farrell, pointed out that Miss Hand says she doesn't remember everything until the point Mr. McGregor leaves and until she's back up in the room. She said there was a lot on the night, even prior to when they went to the Beacon Hotel, that she does not remember, citing again that she had taken drugs and that she had taken drink. Mr. Farrell said it looks as though she is functioning perfectly normal, is what he said on the CCTV footage. She said, I don't agree with you. And the judge was asking, well, can you clarify what you mean? And he said, well, you're conscious in the footage. And she says, yes, that she is. He also asked her about, does she have an interest in MMA? She said she knows of MMA, but no. He asked her, had she ever been to an MMA fight? And she said she hadn't. He asked her about a trip that she took to Vegas, and she said, acknowledged that she did go to Vegas, but she did not accept that she went to a fight in Vegas.
And then Miss Hand denies claims that she gave Conor McGregor oral sex.
Yeah, so I suppose this is really the headline of this is what we are leading with in the Irish Mirror tomorrow, and I suppose this is the crux of the overall claim, because Miss Hand is saying that she was raped, and now we are beginning to hear what Mr. McGregor's side is saying about the alleged events for the first time. Now, Mr. Farrell said that he was going to put some uncomfortable things to the witness, and he did make an apology for that, but he said that he had to do that. He pointed out that basically her side of things are saying that she was beckoned into the room and that Mr. McGregor came on to her and that he told her to relax, baby, that she bit him and that he enjoyed that. It was pointed out to her about a contradiction of that, because she had said that she had bitten him yesterday and that he did not enjoy that and that he reacted as a result of that. Again, she cited her memory in relation to that. She was also asked about doors, just as there's an issue came up a couple of times from photographs of the room, and from his understanding of it, Mr. Farrell said that the doors in the room could not be closed. And it was not possible to close those doors, and that Miss Hand had said that she remembers the door being closed. She said it was possible to close over the door, perhaps. So then we got into the actual allegation and the differing of what both sides are saying in relation to this. He said that Mr. Farrell said that he was going to suggest to the witness that she followed Conor McGregor into the bedroom. He said that what he was going to say next was somewhat offensive, and that he suggested, she may find it somewhat offensive. He suggested that Mr. McGregor went into the bathroom by the bedroom, the ensuite bathroom, and that she came in behind him. She flat out said that didn't happen. he said to her that when Mr. McGregor was in the bathroom, that his belt was unbuckled, the belt of his jeans were open because he was using the toilet. Miss Hand said she didn't agree to that. He then said that you largely took your clothes off and he took his off, and you were both sexually excited. You started to give Mr. McGregor oral sex and then went in to the bed and had sex with him. Miss Hand disagreed with that account. Um, he also said, Mr. Farrell said that James, Lawrence, and Danielle were having sex in the other room, and he suggests that the noise of it, that it was quite obvious. He said they were having sex at a similar time to when you were having sex with Mr. McGregor. Again, the witness denied this. Mr. Farrell suggested to her that Miss Hand even went in at one point and was messing and slagging James, Lawrence, and Danielle, and made some comment to James that he was eating her out or giving her oral sex. Miss Hand responded in court by saying, "That's disgusting, and I don't agree with any of that." In relation to the encounter between her and Mr. McGregor, then, Mr. Farrell said that she had sex with Mr. McGregor for a second time and that Mr. McGregor didn't finish. Clarifying that for the court, he said that his client, Mr. McGregor, did not ejaculate on the second occasion. Miss Hand again said that that was untrue. Mr. Farrell went further in detail and said that his client, Conor McGregor, had sex with Miss Hand in, quote, various different positions, and that your legs were on his shoulders at some point. Miss Hand didn't agree with any of that. He then said that there were various points where his hands were on your thighs and buttocks, and Miss Hand said this is like a made-up story. Mr. Farrell said that Miss Hand was a, quote, enthusiastic participant, that she made noises during this sexual encounter, and Miss Hand again denied this account.
So I think we're going to come to this stage now. Is it where, did we hear the recording today of Miss Hand and her, I think, ex-partner Stephen?
Yes, we heard the recording in its entirety. I will say that while the jury and the both counsels on each side were provided with a full written transcript of this, we, the media, were not. So I transcribed what I could hear, definitely, and that's all we can do. It's 38 minutes long. I don't propose we go through all of it, but in a nutshell, as I said, this is a recording that Stee, her then partner, recorded of her when she came home in the early hours of December 10th, having had repeated text messages of asking her where she was, and that she had told him she was in the goat, for example, that she was out with the girls, and as we heard, he could see by the state of her that something had happened. She told him in this recording, you can hear her saying that she was raped, and she refuses to say who raped her. You can hear her in the recording mentioning the Morgan Hotel, that it happened in the penthouse suite of the Morgan Hotel. You can hear her partner being concerned about whether her friends are still there in the hotel room or not. She assures him that they're not. You can hear him saying that he wants to call the Gardaí, and she is begging him not to do that. He repeatedly, on numerous occasions throughout the 38 minutes, asked her to tell him who is responsible, and she repeatedly says that she can't say. She says that she was threatened. She says that she was warned not to, and that she was in fear, and that she didn't want to tell him. This turns into a bit of an argument. She acknowledged in court that it was an argument. And there are a lot of expletives where she told her partner to fuck off, and that he was making it about himself, and that's all she cares about. He is repeatedly asking her, tell me where, who you were with, who were the people you were with you, whose apartment were you in. He asked her about the fact that she was out with these people until 1 o'clock. And about the timeline of events, and she does say that she's sorry, and but it is quite a tense exchange where a lot of expletives are said throughout, and we do not hear her say who is responsible to her partner in the 38-minute clip that was played.
Okay, and was she questioned about the clip?
No, we were played the clip, and that was it. So we that was the events for today. She's still under cross examination, so I fully expect that we'll get into that tomorrow. But as I said, we heard that full 38-minute clip in its entirety, and that was the end of matters for today.
Okay. So, as I said, that's day three. An awful lot to digest and an awful lot to go through there.
A lot.
We've been on for a long time. And tomorrow we'll be back again for day four.
Yeah, and forgive us, our listeners. It's a lot, but we've given you pretty much 90%, if not all, of what I heard anyway in the courtroom today, and we do our best to do that. Again, when we cover court cases, people might wonder why we're being careful. We can only tell you what is said, what we hear in court, and it's not for us to interpret anything else beyond that.
Journalists get in trouble when they interpret. If you say what the jury hears, you're grand. It's when you when one, shall we say, one veers off from that problems arise. So we will just stick to what the jury is told. We don't do interpreting.
Yeah, not to stay on for too long, but for example, in general, if say footage is shown, it's not for us to describe what we see in footage. So today we heard what Mr. McGregor's side say is seen in the footage, and then Miss Hand stated what her version was in relation to what was seen in the footage. It's not for us to describe in great detail what was seen in any particular footage in a court case.
But great job, Paul. And we will leave it there, I think, and we will come back again tomorrow, shall we?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.